So this is what WordPress looks like out of the box. This is what every single WordPress.org site, and everything now will be .org from here on in, looks like. And this kind of, what's all this about? Well, we're actually going to go through what this is about and why this is useful to you as an editor to know what comes out of WordPress Unboxed and what comes as extras, if you like. So if I just go to the next screen, we can see here that on the right is an example of a site, a WordPress website that has had stuff done on it. Okay, this is not out of the box. On the right-hand side is not out of the box. And we can see, for example, on the right-hand side, there is something called portfolio. So if you have something called portfolio, your website developer or you, if you've developed the site yourself, you've gone and bought a plugin or some little extra piece of software, or maybe it comes with your theme that creates a portfolio for you. It doesn't come out of the box, if you like, out of WordPress. We can see here on the right-hand side that it says WooCommerce. So WooCommerce is a very popular e-commerce or shop online plugin, and you would add that extra into your WordPress site if you wanted an online shop. So all these other things you see on your navigation that aren't on the left-hand side are extras. So the three things that I'm not covering in this particular webinar, because it gets a bit too techy, and to be quite honest, they're not overly useful to you, and they're not places you need to go a lot of the time. So the three things I'm not covering are the comments, the settings, and the tools. I'm going to focus on stuff that you're more likely to want to use and more likely will use. So even though they come out of the box and all of you will have them, we're just going to skip past those. Now, the first one I want to really look at is pages. So if you want to edit text on your page, and that's usually basically what most people want to do when they get to a WordPress website or any website. They say, oh, I just want to edit my text. So pages is where you would usually go to edit text. So let's have a think about pages, just so make sure we're all on the same page here. If I have some websites here, this is an example of 3 websites that I've just screenshotted their top navigation, their menu where you can choose pages. So in this instance, there's 2 or 3 lawyers. This is a lawyer's website, and they've got bios on each of their lawyers. They've got a page for a free first interview. They've got a page for a couple of services they do, and FAQs they've got a page for. On this other website, there's an about page. There's another services page with a little drop down. You can see an arrow. If this was the live site, we could probably drop down to it. This has got a shop on it, and it's got a blog and contact. And this is my site, the bottom one. It's got a portfolio, a pricing page, a training page. So you get the picture. Most of these will be pages, and to edit them, you go to that pages on the left-hand side. The other thing that people ask me around pages is that how do you get the page to appear in that navigation menu? It's one thing to create a page, but how do you change that top level navigation? And you change it in appearance and you go to menus. So if you haven't discovered that yet, how to actually change this, then you go to the appearance and menus, and you muck around in this area and you can add and remove things from menus. We're not necessarily going to go through and do that in this webinar, but this is just to give you some pointers that you can do this, and that is where you go. Appearance will also have your theme. So when I did my little bit of homework, I could see some of the themes that you used. I could see that the theme being used by Megan, your website, was called Spencer. And I could see, Jennifer, that the one being used by yours was WP Bootstrap. Why is that important? Well, if you've got the names of your themes, and in particular your plugins, which we'll get to, if you've actually got the name of it, if you go to YouTube and you say, how do I edit my menu in the Spencer WordPress theme, for example, by using the theme name, you're likely to get a video tutorial that is much closer to what you want, because that sounds, that's not the same for every theme. Every theme will have a slight difference, or many themes will make it different. Not all themes. And so, you know, knowing your theme name and your plugin names can help you when you're actually trying to get that extra little bit of support and trying to work out how to do stuff. So that's where it becomes interesting. While thinking about your themes, some themes are free. Some themes are licensed and it's an annual license, so you might have to pay $60 a year to keep up your theme's updates, and some themes are licensed for a lifetime. And that can make a difference if you're transitioning from one website developer to another and they don't have that license. If you run out of your license, your website will keep working, but you won't be able to access the support desk. You don't really need to access the support desk too often if you're not making many changes, but you won't be able to access updates. And just like your phone, when you see on your phone or your laptop, you know, update, you know, whether Google's got an update or various different things, programs, apps that you have on your desktop or your phone need updating, WordPress websites tend to have a lot of software, and you need to update them. And a theme is a piece of software. A plugin is a piece of software, and you need to update it. And you update it because the author of the software is updating it to keep it compatible with all the other updates. So if Firefox or Google Chrome or Bing or any of those browsers update, it might have to update to keep compatible with them. It might update to fix a bug. It might update, you might need to update to get a new feature. And importantly, you need to update your software so that you lessen the risk of your site being hacked, because out-of-date software is a little bit of a temptation for hackers. Not that you will get necessarily hacked, but it lessens the risk of you doing so. So keeping your knowing your theme, who has, if it's a licensed theme, and who has the license and who's going to renew it each year, is often an important thing for clients and website editors and business owners to know, that they often don't know. And usually there's no short-term problem, but 5 years down the track, something will happen. Your website developer will stop being in business, or, you know, get interested in other things, or maybe if you leave it for 5 years, those updates have been left for so long, by the time you get to do them, it's almost technically impossible to do them because it's just so old. So that's just a kind of like a bit of a useful thing to be aware of more than anything else. Alrighty. Now let's have a look at posts, and I want to compare posts with pages. And I'm going to compare posts with pages by going to these three websites and just having a look at what a post is versus a page. And I think most of you will know this, but maybe not. I don't know. So we'll just have a look and see what that's about. So I'm going to share my screen again, but now this time go to a website. So here is a website, and these are recipes, and there's a picture, there's a title, there's a description, and there's read more. So this here, she's got quite a few recipes and she keeps adding to them. This is great for your SEO. So Liz, this is something that you're probably involved with. And then if I go to this one here, this is still posts or blogs. Posts and blogs are almost interchangeable in terms of what they get called. And you can see here there's a picture, there's a title. In this case, there's a date, there's a description, and there's a read more. And we can see that there's a few articles on this page. And on my site, we can see a picture, a title, a date, a description, and read more. And we can see quite a few blog articles on this website. So that is very common, and kind of the read more is a bit of a giveaway. The fact that there's quite a few there on the one page, if I do click on that, it will now go expand into the whole article. Usually posts are chronologically ordered. So they're ordered by date. The most recent one appears top. And as you can see through these different examples, you can have a big picture, you can have a smaller picture and 3 across in a row. You can have a smaller picture but all running down. So you can lay out and design your blog page, the page that has all these posts, in different ways, but they still have that chronological kind of order about them. And this is great. Doing blogs for SEO is great. And when you post a blog, it will, generally speaking, go automatically to that page. With a page, rather than a post, with a page, you needed to go to the appearance and menus and add, if you were to create a new page, and add it to a menu. When you're doing blogs and posts, you don't have to do that, because if your blog has been set up correctly, it should just automatically now post to that page and people can see it. So that's one of the differences between pages and posts. Pages tend to be what you really determine for your business to be must-haves. If you've got a potential client or customer coming to your website, they need to have this information. It's a bit more static. You know, the services you provide don't change considerably from one year to the next. You might, you know, change them a little bit, but, you know, this is the service you're providing, so this is what the website needs to say, and you need a few pages to say this. Blogs and posts, and as I said, the name is a bit interchangeable, tend to be kind of that extra bit of feature information that you can send out. So, for example, if you had a COVID-19 update, you know, you might say, well, let's make that a blog article, because in 2 years, that's not going to be particularly relevant, but it's highly relevant now. So I'm going to create a post from that. Not all websites have posts and blogs. Only some websites do. Only some business owners choose to have them, and that's fine. You don't have to have them, but that is just the difference between, if you like, the posts and the pages. All right, so let's just get back to here. Now, before I go on to media, which is around images, does anyone have any questions? Okay, so there's a few questions there. I will take one or few of them at the same time. Jennifer, it is not unusual for people to go, oh, I'm so nervous around this. And so some of the things I do is, the first edit I encourage people to do on their website is edit text. Don't attempt to, in your case, Megan, change font. Change font is a bit more advanced, for example. Don't try and add an image as the first thing you want to do on your website, because that's a little bit more advanced. It's harder than adding text. So let's say you've got 200 words and you wanted to remove some words or bold some text or add a few more words in, and you can, you know, find that section on your website, then, you know, just going, if you can find where the text is, find the text, add the text in or bold it, save, you know, go over to the live site, out of your edit, go over to the live site on a brand new browser. So if you're editing in Firefox, you might go over to Google Chrome, look at it in Google Chrome. Did it work? Did it work? Just step by step by step until you build up that confidence. Changing font, mostly the font is determined, I would suggest, at a global level. In other words, the font that you have on this page is the same font as you have on that other page. And the font that you have for your big heading is the same on this page as it is for the big heading on that page. And your subheading has the same font, for consistency. So if you make a decision that you want to change your font, I would suggest that it is probably a global setting, not a page setting. So it's all for the whole site. And yes, changing font is more advanced, but I'm not sure it's an Elementor thing, Megan. It's just more an advanced thing for any website.
It was just about copying and pasting in. So like when I would paste it in, it's in a different font to obviously the rest of how it used to be. And then when I go and select it, and it just doesn't give me the option to change the font. And that is, I've been doing it in Elementor. So I think it is an Elementor thing.
Okay, yeah, okay, I hear what you're saying. So are you copying and pasting directly from Word?
Yes, but I have also, I know where you can like remove the, what do you call it? clear formatting and things.
Yeah.
I've done that, but it still doesn't help me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never copy and paste from Word, even if I use those little buttons that they give me, because they always kind of play up.
Yeah.
So if I was on a PC, I think it's Notepad. I'm on a Mac, so it's the rich text editor. I will copy from Word to rich text editor, and that really does take out all the styling and the coding. Then I copy from rich text editor into my WordPress website. Whether it's Elementor or any other page builder. So Jennifer updates, talked about updates. I mentioned updates before. Yes, I do suggest you do them. So Jennifer's got a question, do I update from 5.41 to do it? Yes, I suggest you do all your updates, and I suggest you do them as soon as you can, as whenever you're in the website and you see them, do them. However, 95% of the time, if you do updates, all happy, no worries. 5% of the time, something will go wrong. And it's just because that piece of plugin no longer plays nicely with that plugin, and there's tens and thousands of plugins. So there's a myriad of different choices of things that can happen. And sometimes if you don't have access to someone who helps you with your WordPress website, fixing that can be pretty, I don't know how to fix this. Sometimes it's just a small thing like a font changes. You know, it's annoying, it doesn't look good, but sometimes the whole screen goes blank. So it can be a bit daunting if something goes wrong. And depending on what goes wrong and why it went wrong, depends on the fix that you've got. But in the end, if you leave your updates and you don't do them for months, and then you don't do them for years, I have a client at the moment who's in this situation. They're unable now to do their updates at all because they really risk the whole site coming down, and they're having to actually redevelop their site because they didn't have this license. They didn't, anyway, long story short. So you're kind of better off doing them while everything is still current and not leaving it too long. So yes, I do suggest you do that. All right, let's get back to the presentation, because I'm going to visit page builders, which it sounds like a few of you would like to have a look at those, because that will help you edit your page. Before I do, I just want to talk with media. Media is common across all WordPress websites. All of you have this. In 99% of the cases, it will look exactly the same as what I'm about to show you. Occasionally, a website developer might have put a plugin that says, make my media library look like this, but it's unusual. So the media is where you put your images. So this is useful because if you don't know how to use the media library in WordPress, honestly, there are hundreds of videos on YouTube, and they will all talk about this media library. How do I upload an image in a WordPress media library? How do I change my images in WordPress media library? Like if you talk media library, if you use that language in WordPress to find out how to do stuff here, you will find a video YouTube tutorial. And the tighter you are with the word use, if you just say, how do I change my images in a website? Well, that could be a Wix website. It could be one of these HTML websites. But if you say, how do I use the media library in WordPress, a beginner's tutorial for media library in WordPress, if you use that kind of language, you are going to get to a video that actually helps you, that answers your question. So knowing this lingo is good. Plugins. Okay, let's get to plugins. Plugins are bits of software. They need updating, and WordPress you're bound to have some plugins in your WordPress website. It's almost unfathomable that you don't. And some of the common plugins will be page builders. We're going to go to page builders a little bit, contact forms, and techie stuff like caching and stuff like that. So with your page builders, common page builders, there's lots. Common ones are Elementor. Megan, you've mentioned that. Divi, which is what we use. WP Bakery, I think one of you has a WP Bakery one. Visual Editor, Site Origin, WordPress Gutenberg Editor. Why is this important? Well, again, for exactly the same reason. If you're trying to edit your text and you know that you've got WP Bakery, then you can go, how do I update my images, or how do I update my text in WP Bakery? And using that language, again, will help you find the right support for what you're looking for. And we can see all the plugins. It's contact form 7. So that's a contact form. Classic editor, that's giving a little bit away that might be the editor or the page builder. But if I go further down, I can see page builder by site origin. So if I had this in my WordPress website, I would go looking for, how do I create a border? How do I put colors in? You know, whatever it is you're wanting to do, how do I update text in site origin? So you look for what your page builder is. Those with HTML websites, you probably won't have page builders. Page builders are essentially, they give you the ability to put rows and columns in. That's what they're doing. Here's an example of a page builder. This is a little bit typical. This is a highly color-coded. They like color-coded. It's like it's a box within a box within a box. And this is the part that can get confusing for new website editors, because this outer layer, which is the blue one here, let's look at the top layer. This blue one is a section, this green is a row, and this gray is a module. Now that's the lingo this particular page builder uses. Your page builder may use different lingo, but that's what this page builder uses. Mostly you don't want to edit the section or the row, the bigger compartment that the text is in, because mostly that has been set to certain colors and certain settings from a design point of view that you want to keep consistent. Mostly you want to go to this inner one. In this case it's called a module, and if I was to click on these 3 little hamburger menus, that would probably open up a little editor for me. So in here I wouldn't want to go to this bright green, and these are all bright green. I'd want to go to this middle one, and down here you can see the red and orange, and you can see post title text, post navigation, and sidebar. So I would steer clear of the red and orange because they're the bigger outer layer. I want to go to the inner layer. This will make a little bit more sense when I show another screenshot. I'll just show the other screenshot first. So this one is, it's Visual Builder, I think they call this page builder. The outer layer is the outer layer that you shouldn't really touch is this grey bar here. I mean, you can, if you click on this edit pencil tool, you could edit this, but you would edit the text block where this green is. So you have to kind of discover where in the page is your text, and you have to really kind of look and find that, and not try and get too clever by editing these big outer layers. Just go to these minor layers and hover over, often is hover over and see an edit pencil tool or pen tool. That's often what it is. On this one, this is again, the blue is an outer section, the green is a row, which gives me ability to do columns, and this little grey floating toolbar is where I'd actually get to edit the text. It's that inner layer. So frequently when you edit, it is in that inner layer. And so this is the site origin page builder. And here is the row settings. I probably want to steer clear of the row. I want to go, see, as I hover over, it shows me edit. And I want to edit this inner section. If I was, and I can see it's text because I can kind of see the text. So if I edit that, I now get to, you know, I could go in here and add text there. I don't actually want to change this page, so I won't. And then there'd probably be some save, or in this case, there's a done. Of save, done, published, they might call it different things. And then I would use this blue update button to update that text. But your visual builder, your page builder could and may and probably does look different to this. And so that's why it's very hard to, if you were to, you know, Google, how do I edit text in my WordPress website, you know, it's not a good enough search term in YouTube for you to find what you're looking for, because there's so many options. How do I edit text in WP Bakery page builder is actually going to get you somewhere where you want. So knowing the page builder name, and you would find that out by going to plugins and looking at your plugin page and just kind of going, oh, which one, is that a page builder? And you'd even Google, is Site Origin a page builder? In this case, it says page builder by Site Origin, but you might not be quite sure what your page builder is. But knowing what your page builder is will help you a lot in being able to find the right help for your, for your further learning, if you like. So that probably hasn't answered all your questions. It might have even got more questions than what you might have raised more questions that are answered, but please do ask me some questions if you want. Liz, the WYSIG is what you see is what you get. That's what it stands for, editor. And it's like your Microsoft Word. You've got a little editor that you can bold and italic and font and justify text and, it's the little editor that you get in websites. I don't know why it's got this acronym or why they even call it anything at all. But it's the little editor, the little toolbar that you get to edit text, and it will have that bold, italic, that sort of stuff. So that's what you see is what you get, editor, WYSIG. And that's just what they call it. Example of a contact form on a website. Popular plugins for contact forms are Contact Form 7, Ninja Forms, Gravity Forms. If you see something in your plugins that says forms, it's likely to be doing this. That's what it's likely to be doing on your site. There's sliders. Is a very common one to have as well. Techie plugins, the ones that are quite technical, are things like caching, optimizing, minifying, a backup plugin. So if you aren't doing backups of your website and you don't know how and you don't know who's doing it, are the hosting providers doing it? Sometimes they do. But if you're not doing backups of your site and something did go wrong, and that's another thing about that nervousness question. I'm nervous to edit my text. Well, if you've got a backup of your site, that will make you less nervous because at least you've got a backup and you can, maybe you can't, but maybe someone can on your behalf help you restore your site with a backup. And often a backup is done via a plugin. It doesn't have to be done via a plugin, but often you can get plugins that will do backups for you. So last but not least, and we can answer more questions and go into more page editing if you want, is users. Is similar across all WordPress websites. If you don't have users and you have the word profile, it means that you don't have admin access. You don't have the highest level of access to your WordPress website for whatever reason your WordPress website developer didn't give it to you, maybe because they thought you might stuff it up or something, but you might say profile. So sometimes it says profile, mostly it says users, and this is as it says, where you can add and remove users to your website. And that's preferred rather than exchanging passwords. It's preferred that you add a user, but you can find out if indeed you are a user and you can change your password here as well. You asked, how do you do a backup? So a techie way of doing it is through the cPanel or the control panel. Some hosting providers do a backup. But if neither of those two appeal, or they can't be done, is you install a backup plugin. And the one that I call, and you can write this down if you like, is Updraft Plus. It's a free plugin. So you go and add a new plugin. I don't know if you've installed plugins before. It's actually relatively easy. But you would probably go into YouTube to a beginner's video YouTube tutorial for Updraft Plus, find out how to install it and use it. And I would recommend you install that and do a backup that way. Yeah, good point. There's a question from Liz. Can you preview a change before you go live? That one is an easy one. So if I'm going to bring up a page in WordPress. So here, what I did here was click on pages. So if I was on dashboard here, where you go when you first open up, this is the WordPress dashboard, and for all intents and purposes, it's pretty useless, got to say. Nothing much to check out here. If I click on pages, I then get a list of all the pages that I have. And as you hover over, you can see that the edit comes up. So I know, Megan, you've been in here. Some of you may or may not have been in here, but you can, you hover over and then you get the ability with the white hand there hovering over to edit. So if I edit this one, and the question was, can you preview before you publish? And generally speaking, yes, you can. There's this preview. Can you see here on the right-hand side? If I bring it up a little bit more, preview changes. So if I click on that, it would take me through to a new window, and I can preview if I'd made changes, which I didn't, but I could then go and have a look and see how that looked, and then go back here and change it a bit more. And only when I update will it go live. So yes, you can definitely preview your changes that you make. Anyway, okay, we'll leave it there for now, team. Thank you very much for attending. See you.